everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Landscape Minutes. Today we have a team who go by the name Urban Balconies, a group of experts from various disciplines: urban design, planning specialists from urban, environmental, and transport streams, landscape architecture, conservation to early childhood and education. The team members not only belong to different disciplines, but while working on this competition, they were stationed at different locations: India, Belgium, and Netherlands. One interesting fact about this team was they have collaborated for the first time, and it was the similar thoughts and principles, to cater the public spaces, walkability, designing sustainable and environmental spaces in urban context that actually helped them work together seamlessly. And they were looking forward to work on similar opportunities in future. Now I would request Shiva from Urban Balconies to begin with her presentation and introduce us to the team members.
Hello everyone. Today we are sharing our entry from Ente Kochi Urban Design Competition. Our proposal was titled Urban Balconies, Visioning Kochi's Urban Water Framework. So we had a multidisciplinary team. We had Mr. Khandekar, who is an urban designer from Netherlands, Subhagya, who is a landscape architect, Adarsha, who is a transport planner, myself, I am an urban planner, Shomi, who is a conservation architect, Ikankshi, who deals in early childhood and education studies, Ganga, who is from Kerala, and she is the HOD at Marian College of Architecture and Planning, Tausif, who is an environment planner. To start for the competition, our first step was definitely to study the site and study the existing conditions. And for that, we try to zoom out. We try to look into the historical aspect of this canal. So what we could say that this canal was very crucial in the regional hydrology of this area. On one side, if we have the sea, on the east side, it's also part of larger lake wetland system. But over the years, because of urbanization and because of coming up of new infrastructure, this water system was broken, it was fragmented. The canal itself, it was encroached. Many times it was covered to make way for other urban services. It was degenerated and eventually it was reduced to a wastewater channel. As it was disappearing from the map of the city, it was also disappearing from the minds of its citizens. Eventually, this has led to a socio-ecological disconnect. For the proposal, we imagined how this canal can enable this city to revive its forgotten relationship with its water system for a resilient and inclusive future. The concept urban balconies is definitely inspired from creating a connection or providing a platform. So these balconies become opportunities for the people to connect with the water, to live with the water, and to grow. Other aims were to have a multidisciplinary approach, to create a green blue connector and collector, making environmental resilient design, inclusive and investment friendly development. There were three important principles. The first was embracing the water. We wanted to make more room for the water. We wanted this canal to be more climate responsive and definitely improve the water quality and its overall ecological functions. The second was integrating the urban programs. And these programs were intended to be adaptive, flexible, and replicable. The nature of the balconies that we are introducing, it differs from depending upon the availability of the resources in their neighborhoods. So they can change their character. They could be interactive at some places. They could be nature oriented at others. They could be more oriented towards urban functions or cultural functions. The third important aspect is weaving the communities through our program to create inclusive, safe, and vibrant platforms. So, this is the part where it is also very crucial because through this we're trying to create opportunities for the socio-economic regeneration of this area. Now I invite Subhagya to tell you about our thoughts on the master plan.
While Shiba explained us the three important layers of our concept, our vision is to transform Mullasery Canal and its interconnected resources into a green-blue collector and connector through an environmental sensitive, investment-centric urban development approach. We propose a resilient solution to canal regeneration that is scalable, adaptable, and climate responsive. Our priority was to review and study canal system, accentuate the existing destinations along the stretch, and through a series of urban balconies that enable unhindered access to the water. The Moment network considered for master planning was an integrated multimodal network with priority to walking, cycling, comfortable access to metro, boat jetty, and bus terminus. The activity network was planned in such a way that the seafront side, which is to the west, has the highest degree of public spaces, and railway line side, that is the highest degree of private activities surrounded by a public realm. Accordingly, the nature of activities were graded from the seafront towards the railway line. The intervention was at two levels. As you can see, our plan is actually depicts a dumbbell shape, which is the two major activities on two end of the segment and intermediate connection with the canal and adjoining activities. So the two-level intervention was environmental remediation and community mobilization across the canal stretch, and localized demonstration solution for site A and C, which are the two important ends of our segment. Next. As water became the center of our design, it was necessary to understand the overall hydrology, slope, and canal behavior with respect to the city as well as sea. After understanding these different levels, we were able to understand that this canal is the shortest drainage point which connects the city drain, as in the hydrological drain, to the sea. It was also important to notice that this was a very, it not only drains, but it also has a tidal effect coming in the canal. So it has this different behavior where you are also draining, but at the same time, you are getting the tidal influx inside the canal. Next. So with that, we decided that the canal stretch can be divided into three different segments. The different segments right from the east, where we have the railway station, that area we seem to be the low-lying area. It gets flooded in any rainy day and causes hindrance. So we thought that area anyways can be developed in a wetland park, which can act to which can purify the water and feed the canal. The second segment, where we have limited scope to develop, was used for daylighting the canal, and the third segment was more opened up to create more accessible and visually connection with the canal. Next. I will quickly brief you, take you through the sections which we thought for each segment. Starting from the wetland area, where we created small saucers along the area, so that which can hold water, percolate it, and at the same time filter and then feed the canal. The another thing, the first stretch, we were able to curtail the vehicular traffic from the north and south of the neighborhood, due to which this street was able to be more pedestrian and cycle friendly. And the daylighting was done to the canal by natural means of filtration techniques. Next. In the central segment, we thought that because of the constraint of the segment, the road section, we thought of introducing some artificial water body, a small bit of it at phase 1. That was very important because we thought that it's very the moment we create connection, people need to feel and see the water. So the strategy was such that in phase 1, while the cleaning of water and all those things happens in the first segment, the second segment psychologically prepares the mindset of people and connects them to the water, artificial small bits of water feature, which can be later on taken off, and by the time the canal water is clean, and the eventually the water is then really, the canal is exposed and accessible to people. At some places we also created the smaller sponge areas along the canal, and allowed it to spill over with softer edges. Next, please. And at the last bit of it, where the canal meets the sea, we have tried our best to kind of open up and give softer edges, give more connection to the people, by creating, not only by floating island, but also by creating the gabion wall edges with vegetation along the soil, so that the influx of water is harmless and with with no erosion, basically. Go to the next, please. So one of the east site, which is the site A, called as in the competition, we thought that it has a potential region of high value transit come mixed use hub, which with a wetland park. It meets three goals. One, they demonstrate how a wetland can be used for treating water while hosting large scale infrastructure, transform an unutilized, stigmatized, and pollution peripheral area into an investment friendly real estate, and create a value addition demonstrating to foster people nature relationship, enabling the first two goals. Now, here on the east side of the site, a wetland park is proposed of the canal to treat polluted water and serve as a green sponge to manage surface water, maintain its ecosystem and water quality. The interpretation cum education center acts as an experience center to educate and engage the community for mainstream natural conservation. Together with the landscape and clean water, it became an inclusive public space, a destination and value addition to the city. Site A, which is more of a KSRTC site, and the another southern, we have called it a KSRTC South and KSRTC North. While the whole space is of KSRTC, we have planned it as a city anchor because it tucks between a bus terminus, a bus station, and a proposed jetty of the inland waterways towards east of the railway line. The scheme tries to appreciate the entry of visitors into the city by providing an integrated water-oriented, transit-oriented development. The integrated system has a public plaza connecting all functions, and at the upper level, all public spaces are connected without any interface with the vehicular traffic. The bus terminus site has been retained as a bus terminal while making its design more sustainable by stacking parking together and realizing part of the terminal land for water oriented development to the south. We also recommended a public private partnership mode for implementing the project, while profit from redevelopment KSRTC site can be accommodated. Development cost of wetland park, Maharaja ground, Jewish cemetery, and Priyadarshini park. Expecting social benefits will be in the form of increasing employment, vibrant and safe public spaces, and conserved resources. Next, please. This also gives you some views where the you can see the pedestrian boardwalks connecting the public spaces at upper level and to the jetty and to the bus terminus. The sources water from the canal has been cleaned and allowed to stand, percolate and clean and then fed to the canal, improving the water quality of canal. Next please. This is again a view connecting the public spaces and how the water oriented development of the South KSRTC site can be done more efficiently. Yeah. This is a section showing from the east side the proposed jetty on the east side to the KSRTC site and the boardwalk through the wetland area and how it would enhance not only as a bus as a hub but also a natural space for people to connect back to water, connect back to nature. Yeah, now I can ask Shiba actually to continue.
At the Site C, our aim was to combine the soft interventions with the building upgradation and canal front placemaking. So we tried to use the green spaces which are all along this stretch, as you can see in this visual, and which are mainly along the canal edge, along the seafront, to create these integrative and inclusive infrastructure and pedestrian friendly movement. As Subhagya mentioned earlier, this is the part of the canal which is most accessible to the people, where you can go closest to the water. So we try to focus on maintaining the quality of the water. This area definitely has three important stretches. The first one, here we have a boardwalk. The boardwalk connects the local metro station, and the aim here was to improve the visibility and improve the connection. As we move towards the west, we have the Mallasari Plaza, which is where the canal takes the bend. This is also an important junction because we have here the market junction, we have crucial institutional areas here, and as we move further, we go towards the famous Broadway. Towards the end, we have Priyadarshini Park. So we imagined it as an all abilities park. We also introduced a theater bazaar as an urban function, and a sea view deck as another urban balcony. So what we have here is a view of the Priyadarshini Park. We planned it as an all ability park, so there was a great emphasis on the accessibility and providing children friendly activities. Another aspect was articulation of the edges. For example, along the sea, we have other important green open spaces or other important public spaces, like we have Arnakulam Jetty, we have Subhash Park. So the articulation of the boundaries was aimed at creating better integrated spaces so that you could enhance the experience of the visitors. The low laying areas, as you can see in the sections, we proposed them as water retention ponds. We proposed a new jetty as an urban balcony. So jetty also represent as a culmination point of the journey that canal takes from the city to the sea. This one is a view as we move from west towards the east. So we made changes in the road section. We tried to improve it in order to make it more pedestrian friendly. We also felt that this area lacked connectivity in relation to the canal. So we also proposed pedestrian bridges. Towards the left side, because here we had more private buildings, so we could not do much in terms of urban functions or other functions. So what we proposed was articulation of the boundaries of these areas so that we can enhance the transparency and we could give more integrated greens. An example of this is what we see here is a memory wall which was created from the boundary of cemetery. So the cemetery itself was imagined more like a landscape of contemplation, but we use this opportunity to create this memory wall where we can project, we can display the culture of the city in relation to the water, or its multicultural history. The one over here is the Mallasari Plaza, where we imagined it as an urban balcony. It is the most active space of this area. As I explained earlier, that we have an active market street over here, and we have important institutional buildings around. So we wanted to make use of these spaces and provide a platform which could be used, as we explained earlier, as collector and connector. So as a collector, in terms of that, it collects the citizens from other parts of the city also, and as a connector, that it connects the citizens to the canal, or to the culture of the water. So I would say that the nature of this space can vary. For example, if the city organizes an exhibition or a fair, it could be very active, it could be very crowded. But at the same time, we try to create these natural edges of the canal. So it could also be very serene and very relaxing, in relation with the landscape. So the flexibility of these spaces becomes its strength. So here, the design part, sorts of, we can end the design part here. But then another important part comes, because this was imagined as an executable project. So its timeline and its project management was also crucial. So we envisioned this timeline in relation to efficient utilization of resources, and to engage the stakeholders, which would be pushing this project further. We imagined a phase-wise execution. So the phase also imagined in terms of which component will be executed first, and also in terms of activity. So for example, there could be activities related to preparation, then construction, then execution finally, or opening, or then the maintenance phase. All this was to aid towards the ease of execution and an efficient project delivery. So with all these transformations, what we hope that the Mallassery Canal, it becomes the heart of Ernakulam, and it raises the aspirations and the charm of the city. So I will close the presentation here.
Thank you, Subhagya and Shiva, for that in-depth presentation, and hearty congratulations on being shortlisted for this very interesting NT Kochi Urban Design Competition. Particularly you, Subhagya, as one of our faculty. Uh, I have some questions for you, on experience of working towards this competition. So my first question is for you, Subhagya. Your approach towards this competition seems to be uh, exemplified by small and personalized and manageable inserts, as indicated by your title, Urban Balconies. So, would you say this approach was derived from the tight density within the precinct and reflected an acknowledgement of the relation between the inside and the outside?
Okay. So, Neha, to an extent, yes. But to just give you a brief, while the bigger interventions were on the east and west side of the canal, we were keen on giving an intervention which was more scalable, adaptable, and the third thing is replaceable. So these three aspects were very important, and creating these spaces with respect to the human scale and the canal, because ultimately that is the interface what we were looking at. So a small thing like a balcony in our house make a lot of difference, and that is the kind of connection we were trying to do at a larger scale at the city level, and that's why that word of urban balconies came into picture. So though the activities and the kind of development along the canal was pretty much smaller interventions, but on the edges it was pretty much on a larger scale. So it was, I would say, a combination of both of them. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. So, moving forward, my second question again to you. So, being a multidisciplinary team, working remotely across cities, countries, continents, do you think this way of working proved easier for you due to the shared past, or do you feel that as a way of working online itself contributed the required synergy to work together?
Uh, Frankly speaking, we did work together on one-on-one basis, not with everyone, but a couple of them. But as a team, we came for the first time together, as I told you briefly before. So, as a team, it was the first time, but it went well because of the common principle, which we realize eventually that we all have the same principles to promote in an urban context. Environmental friendly, walkable friendly, pedestrian friendly, public spaces. All these were the principles which we all were on the same page. But while we say that, what we learned in this process was, uh, you know, that while we had a bigger team, it was very important for us to have a very I would say sequence of engagement, because everybody had their expertise, and it was important to decide which resource need input at what time. And because it was a competition, we have to have a time bound decision making system. That is what we learned actually throughout this process. What was good in this was, because of the lockdown, I think we were pretty much okay collaborating overseas. Or I mean, I individually, or individual person might be working with one or two, but nine people coming together and working was quite a big team. And then putting up things at right order, right sequence, and at right time was very important, and that was a big learning for us.
Thank you for that response. Very intriguing to know how everything worked out well for you guys as a team. Uh, my next question is for Shiva. Uh, what challenges have you faced and kind of overcome while working online and across nation and globe? And could you tell us some of the advantages and disadvantages?
Well, I think it was definitely challenging for we were in different time zones. So arranging a meeting was a task. But at the same time, it also worked out to our advantage because you could say that we were working 24 hours. So if one part of the team was sleeping in one continent, another was awake and working. So that was definitely positive. And another aspect is, I think, the concept of working online, which actually became very popular because of the pandemic. It worked out greatly to our advantage because us being away from the country, we want to be involved in Indian projects or such interesting opportunities, but it's not always possible. But interestingly, because of the pandemic, we all came together, and initially we had our apprehensions or we had our confusions, but over the time it worked out for us. And I would say towards the end, it became a bit exhausting. It usually happens in a design process, I think. But then, because if we would say, as just Subhagya just said, our principles were similar. And another very important aspect becomes how, in terms of use of the technology or use of resources if you are on the same page. So I think when we were doing the production part, somehow I think technology wise we were on a similar page and we were able to execute it towards the end. So there were quite a good things that happened, many advantages. I wouldn't as such mention a disadvantage here. Yeah.
That's interesting again. So, my last question, and very important, landscape solutions kind of seem to be the key in your design for this site. So, could you elaborate on the role of landscape architect in design for urban situations like this, Sapagya?
Okay, it's quite interesting actually. See, I would say I have a very, I would say, non-so landscape architecture answer for this because I think it's time to look beyond our titles today because the way we worked, you can see the team, varying team members in our, which we collaborated. And the good part was that uh, everybody knew the expertise, what they are into and what they should be doing. But at the same time, they were equally contributing and responsible and responsive to the layers which everybody is talking about. Like, for instance, if I just talk about why I'm saying this, because if I just talk about landscape architecture, then people would just think that I am confined to the the only the landscape part of it. But while in this situation, we really have to go beyond our limits and see what the other expertise are, where we can value add, and it's applicable to each one of us. So it's actually beyond title in an urban context, and we cannot just uh, confine our thoughts. It does not mean that uh, going into other expertise, but it is just respecting, understanding, and then responding beyond the titles is what is more important today. While you work in your particular field, it is very important to know how all other layers are stitched together uh, to bring up a cohesive solution. Yeah, that's what I feel. And that happened really very seamlessly in our team because as I was looking into, landscape architecture, and similarly, everybody, but I was also looking into the urban context. Similarly, everyone else was also looking into the built and unbuilt aspect of the site. So it was pretty much interesting to work in with such team. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neha and Urmila ma'am, and the New Art Unlearned team for giving us this opportunity to present our thoughts and to show, take you through our presentation and let you know what we thought while we were at that point of time in the peak of pandemic working on this competition. Thank you so much. It has really a good thing, even after a year, to revisit those thoughts and sharing our experience. Thanks to both the teams, actually.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Savagya and Shiva, for sharing your experiences. A very different perspective you've mentioned, ma'am, that now it is kind of time as landscape professionals, we should look beyond our field and kind of contribute equally in understanding, uh, respecting, and then responding to the layers with respect to all areas of expertise involved. As such, example, as such in your team, in for an urban context, to have a very cohesive design. So that was an important factor you spoke of, and it's it's kind of not just applicable to landscape professionals, but it actually is vice versa with all other disciplines if you kind of work in a team. Uh, in a in your presentation, you kind of highlighted the importance of canal, its and its nature. Like the that it allows inflow and outflow of water at times, and one very important aspect you kind of worked exquisitively was different approaches of water conservation and how to provide daylighting for the canal, and at the same time kind of carved out places adjoining the canal where the balconies or the terraces of residences open towards the canal, and and are facing towards it like eyes on canal, thus making it a kind of water centric design, keeping in mind that these spaces are aligned with principles of walkability, user friendliness, and inclusivity. It was also very intriguing how the interaction and the concept of urban balconies reflected on the bigger intervention as well. And moving towards your experience of working on this competition together, what I can understand was that how the shared principles, uh, time management, engagement of the concerned resource person at the right time, kind of made this team of big team of nine work efficiently with the new normal of online collaboration. Uh, Other aspect was in the interesting fact that the members were in different time zones, and they collectively you guys ended up working 24 hours. So that was very interesting to know, the entire process of your way of working towards this competition. So I'll thank you once again, Subhagya ma'am and Sheila ma'am, and thank you all for joining us as well.